Oh.
Alright, Shalom. This is the officer Russia of the I.S.U.P.K. As you know, we have classes twice a week. Today's class is the Saturday class. So before we get into the class, just a few announcements. Do remember to pay your tithes. It's a commandment. That is 10% of anything you earn. A common example being if you earn £100, £10 would be your tithes. Now on a Monday at 2 a.m. we have a radio show hosted by Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, where we address topics in the black community and also current world events, showing that how they are prophesied in the Bible. Also on a Monday at 3 p.m. UK time, Let a Hebrew Speak, hosted by General Hazayan and Captain Akkad Abraham. Also from Tuesdays through till Fridays, have live online classes streaming from America. They start at 12 a.m. and the Friday class is the Lashawan Kodash, which is the ancient Hebrew language, hosted by Captain Kubalama and Captain Kahan Thamyad. So do make sure that you log into all those classes. Also on a Thursday night at 5 a.m. we also have the Israelite Vibes radio show. Do make sure that you log into that. That's by Captain Tazaya and Officer Katadar. That's another powerful radio show also as well, addressing topics in the black community. So now the topic of the class is just we're going to tackle a few Christian doctrines, whether they be of Jehovah's Witness, whether it be of Seventh-day Adventists, any of those Christian denominations. We're going to be tackling a few things that they say you can't do, and they're also found in the Bible. So the first one is drinking wine. You got some Christians, I believe it's Jehovah's Witness or Seventh-day Adventists, one or two, they say drinking wine is wrong, and with Christ and the disciples, they drank fermented wine. It wasn't, it's like it was unfermented wine, you know what I mean? It was like more like a grape juice. And these things ain't found in the Bible, and these are just doctrines of men. So if you could, let's get into the prophecy on Christ. Let's get Genesis, the 49th chapter and verse 12. Now this is talking about Christ. We're going to see what it says about him.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 12. His eyes shall be red with wine.
What does the Bible say?
His eyes shall be red with wine.
So this is a prophecy of Christ, and prophecy saying his eyes shall be red with wine, meaning that he's going to drink so much wine, it's going to red out the whites of his eyes. So now, if drinking wine was so bad, then why is the king of Jews, why is his eyes going to be red with wine? Now, have in mind, grape juice can't do this to your eyes. Only real fermented wine can red the whites of someone's. So this is talking about Christ. It says that his eyes shall be red with wine. So now anyone telling you you can't drink wine does not know the Bible. That's why they don't believe that. That's why they believe they can't have wine. But let's get another one. Let's get some more on how Jesus Christ. Let's get Matthew 11 verse.
The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber.
And he was a what?
A wine bibber.
And they called him a wine bibber, meaning that someone that drank wine. Of course, they're saying it in a bad way to try and get him put to death. But you know, nevertheless, even they knew he drank wine. That's why they were trying to obviously falsely accuse him by calling him a wine bibber.
That shows that it's not grape juice, because they're saying that, look, he's drunk. You can't get drunk off grape juice.
That's right. So, you know, obviously he has to be drinking something stronger than grape juice. for people to call him a wine bibber. So anyone teaching you you can't have wine, you can't have no Hennessy and any other drink that is any other drink that is available, then they clearly lack understanding of the Bible. We made that point. Let's get Deuteronomy 14 and 26.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whosoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink.
Or for what?
Strong drink.
Yeah, so you can buy either wine or strong drink. So strong drink would be a vodka or something outside of the categories of wine. So the Bible is saying you can buy wine or strong drink. Now have in mind, this was talking about the Passover when you make your way there. After you sold your ox and the money's in your hand, when you get into the land of Judah, you now buy all of it back, and you can buy whatever you like, whether it is wine or strong drink. So now this is out of the law. So you drinking wine or strong drinks, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, of course, being a drunkard is found in the Bible, and it's wrong. The Bible says, in 1 Corinthians 6 and 9, not a drunkard should inherit the kingdom of heaven. So, of course, this don't give you an excuse to, get drunk and, get into fights and all that. But you having a drink, that's lawful and it's right.
Right.
If you read it again.
And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth.
Yeah, so you can buy whatever you want, as long as it's according to the law. So you can't buy no pig, you can't take no ecstasy. You couldn't buy whatever you wanted in that case. But if you wanted some wine or some strong drink, that was fine. Let's get some more. Let's get Proverbs 31 and 6.
Proverbs 31:6. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish.
Like, notice, this one didn't say wine, because some people try to debate, well, it doesn't mean peppermint wine. The Bible says, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish. So meaning someone that's ready to perish, they probably lost their job, someone of their family members died. No, sir.
Keenan. Okay, give me. Okay, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish.
So you give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish. So he's probably down, lost his job, a family member of his has died. And have in mind, this is written in the book of Proverbs, and King Solomon, he was a very wise man. The Most High said that, in his time, no man will be wise like him. So even he's telling you, these drinks sometimes, it can help people that, down, they're ready to perish. And read that.
And wine unto those that be of heavy heart.
And wine
Make a man forget. So it must be real wine.
That's right. And also, drinking grape juice, equivalent that's drinking orange juice or the apple juice, you won't forget about anything. It ain't gonna do nothing to you except wine or like a stronger drink. So that's a heavy point there. No one won't forget anything if it's just, grape juice. Is there any more?
God. Verse 7, let him drink and forget his poverty.
Yeah, so that's how this is the alcoholic drink, because when you drink it, he's going to forget his poverty. Now, apple juice, grape juice, them things, they're not going to make you forget your poverty at all. You know what I mean? Read on.
And remember his misery no more.
Yeah, so this is the purpose of so-called alcoholic drinks. You know, every plant, everything on this earth has a purpose to it. And you know, so basically so-called alcoholic drinks, whenever you're down, it's meant to make you forget those rough times. Now it don't mean get drunk, but it just helps you out. Just as certain plants, they get rid of eczema, they get rid of, you know, small cancers and small diseases that we may have. And wine and these drinks, this is their job as well. So you know, anyone trying to take that away from you, that's doing you a dishonor right there. Right. Some people are down, and you know, they want to have a drink, but you got religions out there teaching no, you drink, that's evil. In Jamaica, in some Christian churches, they call it the devil's drink and all that, and you know, you got people not wanting to drink at all. Meanwhile, in the Bible, it's fine. And even though they call it the devil's drink, behind everyone's back, they're drinking regardless. You know, I've heard stories of they found wine in people's wardrobes and all that. So even still, while they're saying it's wrong, they're still having a drink anyway. So, you know what I mean? Now, if they would have read the Bible and would have understood the Bible, then there would be no need for them to be doing those things at all. But let's get in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 31 and 25.
Sorry.
No, sir.
31:25.
Okay.
Ecclesiasticus 31:25. Show not thy valiantness in wine.
All right. Now, for people that do drink, the Bible is giving you a balance as well. So it's saying, show not thy valiantness in wine, meaning don't show how courageous you are with wine. You got some people, they get drunk and they like to fight. You know, some people call it alcoholic courage, if I'm correct, where as soon as they drink, that's when they think they're tough, they can take on the world and fight people. So the Bible saying, show not thyself valiant at the wine, because that's how some people are. In reality, they're not tough, but as soon as they drink, they believe they can, you know, beat Hugh, Alistair, Overeem or somebody like that, you know what I mean?
God.
Which they can't, of course. We'll read them.
For wine have destroyed many.
Yeah, because wine has destroyed any, you know, they thought they was tough too. That guys got to realize, you know what, I can't fight, you know what I mean? It was that wine, you know what I mean? So at the same time, yes, you drink and you have fun, but you know, you don't get drunk and you don't start to, you know, think it's something that you're not. So there's a balance. So yes, you can drink, but this ain't no one's excuse to become a drunkard and, you know, start trying to get at someone else. Read that.
Verse 26. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping, so does wine the heart of the proud by drunkenness.
There's also people that get drunk. Wine also shows the minds of the proud. So someone that is proud thinks they're better than everyone else. When they're drunk, have you ever realized that they say some things which are like, oh, so you thought that time?
God.
So that's what wine does. Wine also, when people are drunk, it really tells you what's on their mind. So, you know, that's also, and sometimes those things break up first. It can even tear. One day they was drunk and they were saying, you know, you wasn't, you know, the mom saying, really, I slept with someone else, you know what I mean? And wine can make people say things like that. That family is torn apart, and when you, what you will say, read on.
Verse 27. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately.
Now that's the key part there. Wine is as good as life to a man if it be drunken moderately. So meaning you drink it at the right time, because you don't want to be showing yourself valiant at the wine, nor do you want to be, nor do you want the crowd to say what's on their mind. So that's why drinking it moderately is a good thing. You know, you have some and you stop. If you're daggering down the road, people gotta call a taxi for your home, then that's when you gotta examine yourself. But you just having a drink, you had a good time, but you still know what's going on around you. You still have the ability to think, to talk, to operate. You know what I mean? That's how you want to be. You don't want to be that you woke up the next day and you totally don't know what happened the day before. You know, that's when you're not drinking it correctly. Read on.
What life is then to a man that is without wine?
Yeah, so what is life to a man that is without wine? Meaning a life without wine wouldn't be good at all. You imagine you take away wine from mankind, or not just wine, any strong drink, mankind would be sad and depressed. Why? Because it's good to have a drink. You're feeling down or you're having a good time. You want to just calm yourself down a bit. Just have a drink. So if you take that from man, what would life be? You know what I mean? Read.
What life is then to a man without wine? For it was made to make man glad.
Yeah, that's in the Bible. Wine was made to make man glad. Now, grape juice doesn't make a man glad. Apple juice don't make a man glad. You don't do anything to them mentally at all, but wine does. So wine was made on this earth to make man glad. So when the Most High invented every grape, every plant, you know, wine had, I mean, grapes and berries and stuff like that. That had its purpose, and it's to make man, glad. So you know, when it turns into wine, you're meant to drink it when you're down, and it's meant to make you glad. Read on.
Verse 28, wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart.
Yeah, so wine measurably drunk, basically it's meaning that you don't fill your cup to the top, you know, you just have enough, how much you can handle. Some people are strong drinkers, you know, they can fill wine to the top of the cup. Some people can have half a cup, some people can have a quarter out of a cup. So you got to know how much you can handle. So if it is drunken right, when verse 28, it brings a gladness to the heart, means it brings a goodness to the mind, you know what I mean? You forget about all the poverty, you forget about the rent that you gotta pay. Not saying that you ain't going to pay at all, just for that time, you know, you've forgotten about it till you gotta go back to work the next day, you know what I mean? These things just, you know, it helps sometimes get your mind off all the stuff that's, you know, bringing you down. But of course, just drink enough as you can handle. Read on.
So doth wine the heart, Slakia. Verse 28, and cheerfulness of the mind. Verse 29, but wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind.
Now this is what happens when people get drunk. But wine drunken, so wine drunken with excess, meaning you've had what you can handle, and then basically with the excess, that is everything else over the top. So you could only handle half a cup. You had like 3, 4, 5 cups. Now that's the excess. It brings bitterness. Now when people are drunk, they get easily annoyed, aggravated, and that's what happens. They get very bitter. You know, they want to have a argument. They're very upset, and that's what wine drunken with excess. That's what it brings. It gets people bitter. Read on.
With brawling.
With what? With brawling. That's a fight. When you and someone brawl, the modern day term for that is a fight, and that happens when people drink way too much. If you have enough that you can handle, it makes your mind glad. But then when you have some more with them excess, that's when, you know, you have the bitterness of mind. That's when the brawling also takes place too. Read on.
And quarreling.
And quarreling. Does anyone know what that means? So if someone was to quarrel with someone,
Arguing.
Yeah, arguing, and you see that there's shows, but I ain't seen them in a while. But this used to be someone BBC One, ITV3, where basically every Friday night you have police that will literally have to watch clubs because people get drunk and they also get into fights, having arguments. And this is what the Bible is talking about here. Police, you know, they're staying in the van all night because people that can't stop drinking, getting into fights, you know what I mean, having the smallest arguments and all that, you know, and the policeman's in the middle, and you know what I mean, even though it's his job, he has like a grin on his face, they just, you know what I mean, had a way too much to drink, and they argued over some of the most dumbest stuff. I let you those shoes, no, they're mine, and then some of them get into a fight over that. So, you know, there's even shows that you can watch, which, you know, shows this scripture right there. You know?
Verse 30, drunkenness increaseth the rage to offend.
So can anyone break this down?
It said drunkenness increases the rage of a fool. So someone that ain't wise, when they drink, drunkenness gives them that courage to get that rage out. You know what I mean? Like all their thoughts that they had in their head, it gives them that courage, gets them, you know what I mean, to get all angry and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So his rage is increased. So in his mind, he had it all along, but when he's drunk, that gives him that extra help to, you know, get it all out. We done?
It diminisheth strength and maketh wounds.
So when he gets in a fight, it diminishes strength. No, sorry. When people get drunk, they think they're strong, but actually they're weak. So it diminishes. When they're drunk, they like to fight, and they can't fight because they're daggering all around the place. They think they're throwing the meanest hook, and in reality, some slow, drunken punch. But in their mind, you know, that was, you know what I mean, the 100-pound punch right there, but it just was not, you know what I mean? So it diminishes their strength. So they're really weak, you know, they haven't even got any balance. But, you know, in their mind, they're firm. They're basically, I mean, the way how they walk, they don't see anything wrong with it. And that also goes to drunk people that drive cars. You know, they think they're alert, they're fine, until they run someone over. They think, nah, I'm driving good, I'm stopping at the red light, and they're not really, they're late, you know what I mean? The red light is done gone, and they're seeing it now. But, you know, really it diminishes strength. So your natural alertness that you would have if you was not drunk, when you are drunk, it becomes really, you know, you're really behind, and that's why people end up killed, because you ran someone over, you wasn't alert. What read on?
Verse 31, rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine.
So rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, meaning don't correct him at the wine. Don't tell him he can't drink. You know, you see your fellow black, Hispanic, or native Indian having a drink. Don't rebuke him at the wine. Don't tell him, no, it's wrong, you can't have that. And guess what? That's what these religions, that's what they're doing to you right now. You're in Seventh-day Adventist, you're in Jehovah's Witness. They're rebuking you at the wine. They're telling you you can't drink. But and also that's one.
So, okay, yeah, they say that you can't drink. Yeah. Meanwhile, they got homosexuals in the choir.
That's right. And also, a lot of them, they also drink too. You know, they have wines in their closets and in the wardrobes and all that. Or, you know, when everyone's gone out of their house, they're known to have a shot of whiskey as well. You know what I mean? My family grew up in like a church, and those things happen all the time, and people was drinking behind everyone's back, and it obviously, it always comes out. That's something.
Like didn't Yahushua tell us to drink the wine and eat the bread in his name?
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's true. But you know what I mean? They say it was just like grape juice. So that's why these scriptures here, they will show you that obviously it's nothing's wrong if you drink grape juice, but that wine was literal wine according to all of these scriptures here. You know, Christ had red eyes, you know, etc. So you would present that to them to let them know that wine wasn't grape juice. You had something.
Yeah, and Islam as well. They say don't drink. They believe in Yahushua, but then they say that alcohol is bad. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, and listen, they don't believe that because they're the ones that you see on grocery, if you know what I mean, having all the drinks.
God.
So you know they don't even believe that. Wait, where was we at?
Verse 31. Rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth.
So, and don't hate him in his that means your happy time. So don't hate him because he's having a good time. You know, you got some people when they're having a bad time, you gotta have a bad time with them. So you know, the Bible saying if he's had some drinks and is, you know what I mean, and is doing good, don't hate him because of that. Because you know, some people need wine, some people need a strong drink. So don't be despising him at his happy times. You know?
Give him no despiteful words.
So don't give him no despiteful words. I think you've had way too much. You're acting like an idiot. You know what? I just want to just go home. You know, some people, if they're not having a good time, then they have this belief that they have to mess it up for everyone else. But the Bible saying, you know, while he's having his good time, don't give him no despiteful words too. You know what I mean? Make him have his good time. You know?
Khan, and upon him, with urging him to drink.
And then on another side, don't press upon him with the urging to drink. So don't keep, you know, buying him a drink and he didn't want one, and you tell him, well, I've already paid for it. So now, you know, you're making his conscience feel like as if, well, if then I have to drink it. You know what I mean? False people at the same time balance. From there, let's get Proverbs 23 and 29.
Yeah, like you got some people that force you to drink. So just try it, try it. So the Bible saying, like, if a man drinks in moderation, don't hate him for it. But at the same time, if someone don't want to drink, don't force him to drink as well.
Can't.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 29. Who hath woe?
So now, who have woe? The word woe means destruction. So who have woes? You know, in some people's lives, some destructive things have happened. So, you know, I'm sure every Black and Hispanic, we can relate to that. We done?
Who hath sorrow?
And who have sorrows? And a lot of us do, you know what I mean? Some of us are behind on rent. Some people are in debt, you know what I mean? So these are just common things of life. We done?
Who have contentions?
And some people do. Some people have family affairs, you know, or a friend in the world. So some people have kind of tensions in their life also as well. We done?
Who have babbling?
Who have babblings. Some people, you know, a friend says something about them. One of their family members have said something about them. So in their families or their friendships, they have babblings going on in their life too. We done?
Who hath wounds without cause?
And who have wounds without cause, meaning who has been punished for something they haven't done. You know, some people, they have that in their life. You know, you got some people, they've been locked up over crimes that they haven't even done. They were there, or their friend done it as well, and they have stripes without cause, meaning they've been afflicted and they didn't even do it. We done?
Who have redness of eyes?
And who have redness of eyes. And we're going to see who has redness of eyes, and you're going to find out that grape juice or grape whatever they make cannot give a man redness of eyes. And the next verse is going to explain who has redness of eyes. Read on.
They that tarry long at the wine.
And there, so they that tarry long at the wine, those are the ones that have redness of eyes. Now, grape juice or no unfermented drinks, alcoholic taste, only real fermented wine can give a man redness of eyes. And the Bible says, they that tarry long at the wine, meaning those that wait long at the wine, meaning they've been drinking wine. We done?
They that go to seek mixed wine.
And they that go to seek mixed wine. So you got some people, they have wine, but they may mix it with like a little shot of rum. It doesn't taste nice, but that's what they do. You know what I mean? Some people like to mix wine or mix, you know, other drinks. We done?
Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his colour in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder.
There, so now King Solomon, he's telling you to be careful with your wine. I mean, don't just look at it in the cup and, oh, it's red and it's nice, because some people underestimate wine. You know, nowadays you got, you know, more stronger vodka, so people look at wine like, oh, you know, that's a light thing. So when it's in the cup, don't be looking at it like, oh, it's just red. You know what I mean? This is just some light drink, because then it will bite thee, meaning that drunkenness, it will start to creep upon you. So, you know, you'll think you'll find then just bit by bit, you know, the room starts to go to the left, to the right, and then you realize that, you know, now you're starting to feel a little bit tipsy. Read on.
Thine eyes shall behold strange women,
So the eyes shall behold strange. Amen. Read on.
and thine heart shall utter perverse things.
So when you look at them, you're gonna start to utter some perverse things, and you know, whenever a man's drunk and he sees a woman, he doesn't know who she is. That's why she is strange. And you know, you utter some perverse things. You know, if you come over here, or something, you know what I mean? You start telling us some stuff that, you know, in your right frame of mind, you wouldn't really say that to her. You would have some more respect for her, but because you're drunk, you know, you're saying what's on your mind. You know what I mean? You come over here, I'll give you 3 kids right now. You know what I mean? Tell her all kinds of stuff, and you know, she gets upset as well. Read on.
Yeah, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea.
There, so when some people are drunk and they're on their bed, the whole room's spinning around. Now think about it. If you was in a lake and you just lie down and looked at in the sky, you know what I mean? It would be so vast and big to you. You'll just be shocked. So that's like someone when they're drunk, they go in their bed, they just lie down and basically they just look up and the whole room's turning upside down. So now that's what he's explaining there. When, you know, people lie down after being drunk. Read on.
Or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast.
Mm-hmm.
They have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick.
So now they have stricken me, meaning people are on your back like, look, man, you need to go home. You know, you've had way too much. People have stricken him, meaning they are restricting him. Read on.
They have beaten me, and I felt it not.
So some people, they get into a fight, and you know, being drunk, it has a tendency to numb you. So you won't feel the pain now, but after you go home and you wake up the next day, that's when you feel everything. Actually, I'll tell you, but I won't say any names. In the world, you know, there was a couple, you know, they used to go out on the weekends, and the man, he used to drink so much that when he used to go to bed, his wife used to literally punch him in the face, because basically he was annoying her that much that basically is drunk sleeping, and she's angry. So she look at him and she'll literally turn around and bah, bah, and then turn him, because he might wake up. So she'll punch him once, punch him again, and then when he's wake up after being drunk, he's like, oh, my face, what happened there? She's like, I don't know. Now, you know, I'm not gonna say any names, but you know what I mean. That's what happens. You I mean, you have been beaten, and you have felt it's not. Why? Because when you're drunk, you're numb, so you don't feel anything till afterwards. That drunkenness wears off. Read on.
When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again.
And that happens. Yo, when people wake up, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna do the same thing next week. Again, you know, some people get so drunk they're vomiting, you know, all down the street. But guess what though? They're gonna be doing that next week again. They won't do it now, but then of course, just like anything in life, you forget about it and then you go and do it again. It's just a natural course of life. Let's get Ecclesiastes in the Bible, the 9th chapter and the 7th verse.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 7. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart.
Yeah, so again, you can drink your wine. Now, for those that haven't read all of Ecclesiastes, he's basically talking about, you know, yeah, you work hard, but then you enjoy the fruits of your work, so you have a good time. So after you've done after you finish what you've done, you know, some people got a slavery, some people after they do class and camp, go thy way, eat thy bread, have a good time. You know what I mean? These things are good for you. You know, there was a, what's the correct word? There was a experiment, if that's the word, where they was wondering, like, in the UK, what makes people so upset? Because for these past 10 years, people have seen more violence, people are more frustrated. So now they was wondering, why is it that people are like this so much? And the reason why people was like that so much is because they're not having a good time, meaning some people have to work extra time, overtime, they have to, you know, I mean, once they finish work, they gotta go get the kids, then they gotta go to another job, they're in debt, they're trying to buy a house, and they realize that the reason why people are so upset and the rise in violence went up is because people don't have a good time as much as they do before. Obviously, now when someone is young, they go out every weekend, but as a adult, there wasn't, and that's why they realized that the violence and all that in the UK went up so much because of all the aggravation. So now he's saying, go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine. So now, after you do some hard work, it's good to have a good time. Now, some people don't drink at all. You know what I mean? Some people may like exercise, gym, you know what I mean? But whatever makes you have a good time, after you've done some laborious work, it's always good to balance things out. If you work way too much, that's where frustration comes in, agony, and you know what I mean? You get very highly annoyed. That's why it's good to always balance things out. And if wine is your thing, then you know, do you have a cup of that too? Right, in the same book, Ecclesiastes, chapter 10 and verse 19.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things.
Yeah, so again, he's talking about wine. So a feast, it can make people laugh, you know what I mean? You have a good time, there's food, you know what I mean? All the family, friends, all the brothers are around. And wine, it can make us merry. So you can have a good time with wine. So that's why wine and strong drinks, it's around so that, you know, mankind can have a good time, forget about their poverty, forget about their woes, forget about, you know, all the things that may mentally be holding a man back. So let's get the last two scriptures on this. Let's get 1 Timothy 5 and 23.
First Timothy 5 and 23. Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities.
So can anyone break this down?
Like scientifically, they said that wine is good for your stomach.
That's right.
And kills germs and so forth. So Timothy's, if wine was wrong, why would Timothy be telling you to drink wine sometimes?
Yeah, sure. And this is key because a lot of scriptures we pulled, it's in what they call the Old Testament. So now this one here is in the book of 1 Timothy, which is as New Testament as you can get. So even here, they're telling you to, you know, drink wine. Now grape juice don't do nothing for your stomach at all. That's just like drinking water. You know what I mean? It just does what, you know what I mean? It just goes in and it comes out. But wine is known to kill germs in your stomach. So you can read that one more time.
1 Timothy 5 and 23. Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities.
And they're often infirmities. So, infirmity can mean sickness. So, if someone's sick, that if you look at the definition of that word, that's all what it means. So, you know, sometimes wine is good for when someone's sick. You know what I mean? Some people, if they feel that they have a flu, they have a shot of vodka, which actually warms them up, then they go to bed. They wake up, yeah, they may sweat a lot, but then with that flu, it's gone. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes the alcoholic drink, when you're sick, when you got a cold, it can actually do you very good.
God.
I mean, back in the days, a doctor he would recommend it, but now I don't think they can promote alcoholic drinks. But back before, you know, all these laws and all these new things that they make, if you had a flu, a doctor tell you, listen, just have a shot of a vodka, go to bed, and you'll wake up fine. And it works even till this day. But now, you know, they have to prescribe you something that they can't tell you that anymore. But, you know, things like that work. Let's get 1 Peter 4:3.
1 Peter 4:3. For the time past of our lives may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine.
And there, so now, this is what the Gentiles do, and one of them is a excess of wine. So now, if you notice, you watch those shows on BBC One and ITV, those people are not Israelites, those people are Gentiles, and they walk in excess of wine. They're the ones getting drunk, doing lust, having one night stands. That's not for us, you know what I mean? And that is a custom of the Gentiles. 1 Peter 4:3. So what's that word? Lasciviousness. That's like lasciviousness. That's like a wrong lust or like something like that. Absolutely. If you can look at the definition
Like
of that.
sexual lust and orgies, like.
Yeah, sexual lust and orgies, and that's what you see in those white people's clubs. You go to the West End where they have all those clubs where those white people go. You watch Geordie Shore. That's an example of that. People having one night stands where they've never met this person at all. They don't even know his last name, but yet around the back of the club they're having a one night stand, and you know, then after that they go into their house, their friends with their man friends, or you know, passing each other around. That's what lasciviousness is, and lust, and excess of wine. And that excess of wine, that's what it brings, you know what I mean? It brings all that slackness, all that vileness. You done?
Reveling, banqueting, and abominable idolatries.
There's so excess of wine and all those things. That is the lifestyle of the Gentiles. So yeah, we drink and you can have a good time, but excess of wine brings all that things there. You know what I mean? Lust, reveling, all that.
You have noticed like brothers have like a glass of, you know, a glass of tobacco or maybe two, or even probably the whole bottle, but you know, you know, we have a cup at a time. Have you noticed like these white boys will have like, they'll down the whole bottle and have competitions and shit, or they'll have like a long tube and seeing how much they can down it. Like, what's all that about? Just drink it. You know, just drink it moderately until the bottle's finished.
Yeah.
They got like one man been getting taunted to put down a whole bottle, probably two. You know what I mean? It's like, what's all that about?
I know, like the difference between blacks and whites is that if we get drunk, even though according to the Bible you should not, you didn't mean for it to happen. You had one, you was dancing, had two dancing. With them, their whole goal is to get drunk. They go out to get drunk. They're like, I'm gonna drink all of that. You know what I mean? For me to get drunk, I need to have all of this. And you know, their friends are urging them on, drink, and his, you know, head tilted back all the way, drinks going down. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Their goal is to get drunk, while as we don't. We just have a good time, and getting drunk that is happened while we had that good time. But yeah, I do see your point definitely. So that's just on getting drunk. So does everyone understand that?
All
right. The next topic is You know what I mean? You have some religion that say, you know, seeing a doctor is wrong, and getting a blood transfusion, that's wrong as well, which ain't nowhere in the Bible at all. If you're gonna die, then you have to do what you have to do. You know what I mean? And that's sad, because you got some people whose kids have died and they stood upon it, and you know that was not in the Bible. So according to the Bible, is it lawful for you to see a doctor if you have to? All right, let's get Ecclesiastes in Apocrypha 38:1.
Ecclesiastes 38:1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him.
Yeah, so honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which you may have of him. So yeah, you have a respect to a doctor for the use that you may have of him. So you know, we don't go to doctor all the time. If it's something small that will go in time, then you know you wait. But there are some things which you do need a doctor for. You know what I mean? Some people are low in vitamins and stuff, and the doctor, he can give you some vitamin pills, or you know what I mean, you might have eczema or something like that, and you can go to a doctor. Now have in mind, when we talk about a doctor, we're not talking about the so-called white man's doctors. You got Chinese doctors, you got, you know what I mean, many people that study herbs and can also heal whatever thing you may have wrong with you as well. So in that time when something is wrong, you have that respect unto them and you go to them. Read on.
For the Lord have created him.
There, so the Most High, He's made him. You know, all those inventions that they have, it's not of their mind. They may think they're wise and they know the periodic table well and chemistry and biology, but all of it comes down to the Most High. I mean, even back in the so-called ancient times, we had doctors too, you know what I mean? So all this is from the Most High, so that when a man gets sick, you know what I mean, there's someone who he can go to. You done?
Verse 2, for of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king.
So the real healing comes from the Most High. So currently you may go to a doctor, but you being healed comes from the Most High. He says, you know what, I want you to be whole. So you got some people, they can pay the most, so they can pay for the best doctors, but yet that infirmity they have will not be gone. So just because you go to a doctor, the real healing comes from the Most High. Read on.
Verse 3, the skill of the physician shall lift up his head.
So the skill that he has shall lift up his head, meaning people will respect him because of that. So a doctor in this world is a must, and you know what I mean? And basically in his community, he's going to receive respect for the job that he does. Read on.
And in the sight of great men, he shall be in admiration.
So they're going to admire him. So they're going to look to him and go, you know what? He does a good job. I was sick the other day. I came to him and he helped me out. I was feeling very drowsy, you know, didn't have the energy to get up for a few weeks. He gave me, so he prescribed me with such and such. And, you know, people are going to have him in respect. So you going to a doctor, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Read on.
Verse 4, the Lord have created medicines out of the earth.
What did the Bible say?
The Lord have created medicines out of the earth.
So all these medicines that we see, the Most High created them out of the earth. Meaning, you know, all these plants and berries and all kind of things that you see, this came from the Most High, and these things were made to make you well. So this doctor, yeah, there's some respect to him, but it's double respect to the Most High because he invented these plants and he put it in his mind to, you know, see these plants and to experiment with them. You know what I mean? It's a concept that the Most High has put in their mind. You know, they're not smart of their own accord. This comes from the Most High. Read on.
And he that is wise will not abhor them. Verse 5. Was not water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known?
That's going something else. When it says made sweet with the wood, charcoal out of water takes away all the salts and all that. So now, you know what I mean? That's a knowledge of man. No one wants to drink no water that the salt taste is really strong. That's why if you boil charcoal underneath some water, you know, gets the salt and the things away, and then the water tastes much better. So, you know, that's also a virtue that we know. So the same way as we know that, the same way a doctor, he knows this plant can get rid of eczema. If you drink this, it gets rid of this. So that's also a virtue. And have in mind, all this comes from the Most High. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And he have given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works.
So this is key. So he gives men skill that he might be honored in his marvelous works. So the Most High, whenever he gives someone a ability or a skill, that's to know that the Most High exists. So for instance, a man can make a house, a car. That shows how much more the Most High he exists. Because the same way as he made this earth, you mean the stars and everything that we see, that's how he gave you the ability to also make things too. So now, if you have the ability to invent anything, that is how much more you should honor the Most High in his works. So when people say, you prove to me if the Most High exists, well, you came out of a car, you got in a coat. By looking at you, I know that the Most High exists because I can see his works, you know what I mean, in you. Because why we can also make things too. Read on.
Verse 7. With such does he heal men.
And with such does he heal men. So with those same plants and those same skills that the Most High has, he can also heal men. He made those plants anew. Later down the line, for a man, if he has this, if he has that, that will sort him out. Read on.
And take away their pains.
And take away their pains. You know, some people, some diseases, some sicknesses come with all kinds of pains. And you know, the Most High, he's made all these plants and all these things for that. Read on.
Of such does the
Hypocrisy
make confection, and of his works there is no end, and from him is peace over the earth.
There, and from that doctor is peace all over the earth. You know what I mean? Without no doctor from the Most High, there would not be peace all over the earth. Everyone would be in pain. Everyone would have rashes. Everyone would have, you know, some kind of cough or some kind of disease. So the Most High, you know, he's made all these remedies on the earth, and through the that's how you have peace all over the earth. So a doctor, there is use of him. Now, of course, you know, you got some people, they don't like to go to doctors, and it's not a sin if you don't. If you've done your research online and you find out that there's a better remedy for yourself, then by all means, use that. But don't tell someone they cannot go to a doctor. If they want to, then, you know, you can't tell them it's wrong. Now, some people say, well, the things that you get from a doctor, it's got some bad things in it. You know what I mean? If it's wrong according to the Bible, then of course, you know, don't take things like that to, you know, from her say that coating the hair is like pigskin or something like that. You know what I mean? And some gel pills that you get. So you can buy vegan pills, you know what I mean, where it's like a vegetable coating all over it. So of course, you know, people that research that, there's nothing wrong with that, and you know, do use that also when you go to a doctor test, that you're also still following the laws of the Most High. You know what I mean? That's something.
Yeah, if you read those medication.
Yeah, that's right. As the brother said, it's on the packs that you get. So you know, just read that and you know, do understand that as well, and you know, avoid those things, and you know, do keep the law of the Most High. Any more on that, or is that pretty much it?
Verse 9, my son, in thy sickness be not negligent to the Most High, and he will make thee whole.
So the Bible says, my son, in thy sickness be not negligent. So when you're sick, don't let this meaning, but pray to the Most High, and he will make you whole. So Most High, that sickness or that little, that ain't going anywhere until you sort your offense out with, like the guy that owned Warner Brothers. He actually, before he died, he said that, now actually no, he actually paid to have himself in a visa, because he said that also the guy that owned Disney, he paid to basically have his body detained in a visa, because he believed that in the future doctors will have the ability to make people come back alive again. So he trusted in doctors and people that much that he believed that he would actually be coming back, but he ain't solved his offense with basically the Most High. So you know what I mean, people like that, they trust in doctors and you know what I mean, man's technology way too much. So you don't want to be like that. You want to sort your problems out with the Most High before you go see any doctor. Read on.
Verse 10, leave off from sin.
And that's what a lot of it comes down to. When a sickness is on a man, it's because of sin. You know what I mean? They've gone off, they've offended the Most High. That's why they have that sickness. Read on.
Leave off from sin and order thy hands aright.
And order thy hands right, meaning do the right things, keep the laws, keep those statutes and those commandments. Read on.
And cleanse thy heart from all wickedness.
And cleanse thy mind, your heart, from all wickedness. You know, don't even have wicked thoughts in your mind. Why? Because a wicked thought leads to a wicked action. You know what I mean? You think of something, then you eventually end up doing it. It's just a natural way of life. Everything that you do, you thought about it first. You know what I mean? No one just does something randomly. It comes to your mind and then you end up doing it. Read on.
Give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being.
So this was a time when, you know, we did the animal sacrifices. So, you know, be at peace with the Most High. Read on.
Then give place to the physician.
So now, after you've done all that, then give place to the physician. Read on.
For the Most High have created him, and let him not go from thee.
Then so the Most High, he has made this man, and let him not go wrongly. So meaning, if you have a chance to go to the doctor when you're sick, don't let him go around you. You know, some people, you got this diehard mentality of, I'm not going to the doctor, never, 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 never. And sometimes they're really sick, and it's only getting worse till they get so bad till they have to go to a hospital, and that's because they're neglecting this man. They're letting him go far around me. But all they gotta do is just pick up a phone and just book an appointment. That's all what you have to do. You done?
For thou hast need of him. There is a time when in their hands is good success.
And there, man, that's key. So there is a time in their hands. There is a good success. So there is a time. So we're not saying their remedies always work. Because obviously, if you ain't right with the Most High, then what they prescribe you is never going to work. But the time when you can go to them and there's a good success, you know what I mean? So that's just tackling another Christian doctrine about, you know, seeing doctors. Now, another one is, you know, self-defense. You got some Christians that they believe they can't learn how to box. They will never learn their kids no self-defense, say that's violent, you know. Christ is all about peace, and you know what I mean, you should just turn the other cheek and all that stuff. And that's not in the Bible. And when it does say turn the other cheek, it wasn't talking about, you know, literally someone slapping you in the face and you're giving your left cheek, your right cheek, and it just goes on and on. So now let's get to the scripture that they use. Let's get 1 Timothy 3:3.
Book of Timothy, chapter 3, verse 3. Not given to wine, no striker.
No striker. So that's the part they use. So to be a man of God, you can't be a striker. You go to a boxing gym once a week, you know, you're striking, you know, you're doing the jab and the cross, you know what I mean? They think you're a striker, but it's not even talking about this, but we'll explain it as we read on.
Not greedy or filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous.
And they say, see, not a brawler, and they think brawling goes into self-defense, which brawling does not go into self-defense. Brawling is a street fight. Now, you learning to defend yourself, these scriptures does not make their point at all, and it's not even talking about that. Let's go up to verse 1 and read on down.
This is the true saying, if a man desire an office as a bishop, he desireth a good work.
So now, verse 1 is letting you know what it's all about. So if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. So this is talking about if a man wants to be a bishop. Now the word bishop, I need to look at the definition. I think it just means a servant. That's all it's talking about. I mean, if you want to serve the Most High, you desire a good work. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We done?
A bishop must then be blameless.
So a bishop must be blameless, meaning have a good report, meaning he's following all the laws. No one can't blame him for something. You know, I'm poor because he took all what I have. I don't have a wife because he took my wife. You know, he's blameless. No one can't blame him. He's not gossiping. He's not doing anything of that sort. We don't.
The husband of one wife.
The husband of one wife, and that one wife is your doctrine, meaning, you know, you're tied into the work of the Most High. We done.
Vigilant.
Vigilant. Someone's vigilant, meaning they're always looking around. They're very well of what's going on around their surroundings. We done.
Sober.
And sober, meaning their mind's not clouded with all this other stuff. They're fully locked in onto this work. Yes, they have things going on in their life, but when it's time to do the work, their mind is solely just locked in on that. We done?
Of good behavior.
Of good behavior, meaning he knows how to act. Remember, he has to be blameless, so his behavior is good. No one ain't going around saying, you know what, this time he was drunk and got into a fight on the street. He didn't pay his tax fares, ran out of the cab. You know what I mean? He's got good behavior. We done?
Given to hospitality.
Given to hospitality, meaning people are around him. He's very hospitable. You know what I mean? He knows how to act, help people out. We done?
Apt to teach.
Meaning he's always ready to teach somebody. He's not like, I'm not in the mood, hands on the phone, pretends like he's not there, or, you know, tell someone next time. When he has the chance, of course, he's always apt to teach, meaning he's ready to let them learn. We done?
Not given to wine. No striker.
No striker, so he's not given to wine, meaning he's acting right. You know, He's not someone that's drunk, getting into fights, you know what I mean, because he had too much wine. No race striker, meaning if someone doesn't understand or something goes wrong, he's not a striker, meaning he's not quick to hit someone. For example, I'm in this class right now. Someone doesn't understand the John 3:16 breakdown. I don't start to become a striker, start hitting them, you know. I'm trying to break it down to them. They're like, no, I don't understand. You don't see me just, you don't see me start to stand up and I start striking them. You know what I mean? You got people that are like that, where they're very quick to strike. If people don't agree with them or they're trying to break something down, they don't understand, so they start to get annoyed, and you know what I mean? Then eventually it starts to get into a striking match. We done?
Not greedy, a filthy lucre.
So meaning he doesn't tell people stuff for his game. He's not telling people, well, God's telling me, you know, that nice car you got, I need that to get to work. You know, I'm a man of God. I need to get to work and then to come back and to do class twice a week. He's not using people for his game. We done?
But patient, not a brawler.
Not a brawler. Again, you got some people, they like to fight, you know what I mean? They tell someone to do something, and because they don't, the one who fight the person don't understand, or the person doesn't fully agree with something, before they go to them in the Bible and break it down, they rather get into a fight with them. Example, it's like me being here, I'm breaking down scripture, someone saying, I don't see it that way. Now, before you go in the Bible and you make a point, I'm looking at him like, you know what, come, let's go into the backyard, you know what I mean? That's what it means, you know what I mean? You're not that kind of guy, you're not a brawler. Some don't understand, so you and them have to fight, you know what I mean? You being a man of God, that's not your goal, you know what I mean? If you have the correct understanding in this book, then you can also bring that forth and show where, you know, the Bible's right. Anything we say, it's not that we're right, it's just what the Bible says.
Right.
Read on.
Not covetous.
And not covetous, meaning he desires things that belong to someone else. So that's what that scripture is talking about. So you learning to defend yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a crime. No, that's not a sin against God. You got something?
You know, how can these Christians say it's wrong to fight and, you know, you're peaceful? And then read about King David, who killed thousands of people in his lifetime?
That's true, but, you know, they have that famous Old Testament saying, but that's the Old Testament, you know, now God's all love. So that's true, and we're going to get to that. But this scripture here ain't talking about, you know, you learning self-defense. Now, have in mind, every empire, they had a form of self-defense, whether it was the Egyptians, Babylonians, even us, the ancient Israelites, they had self-defense too. So you're telling me when the Babylonians came against us and we fought back, we didn't know anything. When the Assyrians fought against us, we didn't know any hand skills or how to use a buckler, how to use a sword. Anyone learning self-defense is just common sense. You need to defend your wife, your kids, and also your brothers too. So someone learning self-defense is just a way of life, and it's been like that since the beginning of time. You know what I mean? If you look at certain Egyptian hieroglyphs, they had on boxing gloves. You know what I mean? They have like we're doing what people would call karate or kung fu in a Egyptian form. You know, even in the East, you know, kung fu is one of the oldest hand skills over around there. Everyone knows self-defense. It's just common sense. You know, the Japanese, the Asian samurais, that's where jiu-jitsu came from, because the armor was that heavy. They couldn't fight like everyone else, so they had to wrestle people on the floor and then, you know, get them in locks. Every empire knows you have to defend yourself, and depending on the armor they had and basically the weapons that they had, they made a self-defense skill around their abilities. So someone telling you not to learn self-defense just doesn't make any sense, because that's just a way of mankind. It's just common sense. But let's get King David. Let's get Psalms 144 and verse 1.
Psalms 144. Blessed be the Most High, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war.
So now King David said the Most High taught his hands to make war. He didn't say he learned it himself, meaning that ability he had when he was on the battlefield, that came from the Most High. Read on.
And my fingers to fight.
And his fingers to fight. So King David, he learned to fight from the Most High, meaning the Most High taught him how to fight. So of course, he put it into fight, and obviously he was taught. Just like anything on this earth, you have to get taught. So King David, he learned how to defend himself. So now, King David, he was a man after the Most High's heart. If you read in the book of Acts, and you learn how to fight, there ain't nothing wrong with that. And the Most High taught King David how to fight and to also make war. How are you going to defend yourself if you don't learn? Again, I do research these things, and the common man, in his mind, he believes he can defend himself, and in reality, he can't. You got people in their mind, if someone was to hit me, I would do this, this, and that. But if you ain't been trained in it, in reality, you can't do it, and you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? There's things you can think about, and in reality, there's things that you can actually do. And you know what I mean? Unless you are trained, you don't know what to do. Like a lot of people, they really don't know how to defend themselves. They believe if someone was to pull out a knife, I would do this and grab this. But if you ain't been taught, when it really happens, you won't do anything like that at all, because you haven't been trained to prepare yourself. So even over here, the Most High taught his hands to war and his fingers to fight. So King David, he learned self-defense, and that's why when you read about the wars he had, that's why he was so good on the battlefield. So let's get an example about him. Let's get Psalms 18 and verse 34.
Psalms 18 and 34. He teacheth my hands to war, so that the bow of steel is broken in my arms.
So now the Most High saying, King David saying, the Most High taught his hands to make war, that a bow of steel is broken with his arms. So meaning that meaning on the battlefield, if a archer had a bow of steel, as well as killing him, could also break that man's bow as well. So many people watch these shows where this karate man, he's breaking rocks with his hands and ice. Well, King David, he had that same ability. For you to break steel, you gotta have really strong arms. So King David was a very strong man. Read on.
Verse 35. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand holdeth me up.
There, so while he was on this battlefield, he was being held up by the Most High, because have in mind, when you watch like ancient films where a war is taking place, there's a lot of going on. You got people running with a sword, one with an axe, or you got a horse, you got people shooting bows and arrows, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on. So he was protected by the Most High, that he didn't get hit by any of those things. We done?
Verse 35. And he has also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy right hand holdeth me up, and thy gentleness have made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, that my feet did not slip.
Yeah, so he enlarged his steps under him, that his feet did not slip. So when he was in war, to run to the right, kill someone, run to the left, jump over, someone who was dead on the floor, meaning that his feet didn't slip under him. Because in war, if you're on the floor, you're finished. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on. Someone could take advantage of that when you're on the floor. Just like in a fight, even now, the person that is on top, he has the advantage. If you watch like MMA, the guy that is a wrestler, he takes him down. If you're on top, your position is better than the guy that's on the floor. So, you know, that's why it was great for him that his feet didn't slip, so that he is on the floor. Read on.
Verse 37, I have pursued mine enemies and overtaken them, neither did I turn again till they were consumed.
There's in war, he pursued them, meaning he was on their back, you know what I mean? He was killing, till, you know, basically he was just on their back so that they had to eventually run away. So where's that? Pursued them. Verse 37, and it goes, I turn again to the word consumed. To be consumed, meaning you are utterly done away. So meaning he was fighting till there was none left. You know what I mean? Now, King David could fight, because for you to be in a war, you're fighting so much so that the other side is almost done away. You have to be very skilled in hand-to-hand combat. You know what I mean? So that shows the ability that he had. And guess what? You can have that too if you discipline yourself, learn that Yah Karab, you will have those same abilities too. Read on.
Verse 38, I have wounded them that they were not able to rise. They were fallen under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength unto battle, and thou subdued under me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. Verse 40, thou hast also, like it's verse 41, they cried, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not.
So he was now in war. They was that good that once they were destroyed, there was no one to help them, man. They even tried to cry unto the Most High, but obviously he's on his side, he's not on their side, so there was none to help them at all. 1 second. Skip back up to verse 33. So at the point there.
Verse 33, he maketh my feet and my hands, he maketh my feet like hinds' feet.
Yeah, so King David, as well as being good with his hands, he could also run very fast. And like you could equate that to a modern day boxer, or like a guy that does MMA. They don't just fight; they're also athletes. They can run very fast. They're very fit too. They're not just, you know, someone that just can fight. Remember, for you to fight 3 rounds and they're 5 minutes apiece, your fitness level has to be very high. You know, some people survive just for 1 minute and like they're done. So he also was a athlete. He could run very fast. Read on.
He teacheth my hands to war, so that the bow of steel is broke.
Like there was some more in verse 33.
Oh, okay. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my high places.
And setteth me upon my high places. What does that mean?
Be in a good position to fight from.
Yeah, that's right. So for him to get into a high place, he has to run and then jump. So meaning he was an athlete. He could run fast, jump high. It's like in America with that basketball. Some of them people can slam dunk from very far. You know what I mean? They have that ability. And King David had in mind, he was from the tribe of Judah, and you know those Judites even till this day can run fast and jump high. You know what I mean? It was on the YouTube. I mean, I don't watch basketball, but it just got my attention, and you know what I mean? Some of them can run and slam dunk a ball from like very far, and anytime I see that, it just brings this scripture to mind as well. So King David, you know, he knew self-defense and he was a athlete as well. So you know what I mean? Anyone that likes to box, likes to cage fight. Now, if you would take it up as a profession, then that's something else. But in your spare time, if you like to go to a gym after, you know, your work and camp and whatnot, ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Let's get another one. Let's get Exodus chapter 2 and verse 11.
Book of Exodus chapter 2 verse 11. And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew.
All right. So now this is the time of Exodus. So now when he came to see the afflictions of his people, he came to see, the things that they was going through. Now it's like today, imagine if a rich black man that was brought up in a white man's house, he was coming to Handsworth, Brixton, Peckham, and to see our afflictions, see, we live in council flats, places that are run down, all the rubbish on the streets, and he would see a policeman beating one of us,
one of his brethren, and he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
There, so he looked to the left and the right, and when he saw that there was no one there, he slew this Egyptian, meaning he killed this Egyptian. Now, it didn't say it picks up a rock and all that stuff. Now, have in mind, him being in the house of the Egyptian king at that time, Egyptians also knew self-defense. They also had so-called martial arts. So even him, he knew hand skills, and he ended up killing this Egyptian and he buried him in the sand. So he was also trained in hand-to-hand combat as well. So you learn in self-defense, there's nothing wrong with that. And anyone trying to tell you that it's wrong, then they clearly do not understand the scriptures.
Right.
And also, they're making things hard for you because why? Because it's common sense. Everyone needs to defend their wife, their kids. So I'll give you an example. You're out with your wife, someone disrespects your wife, so what are you supposed to do? Like, what happens? You're meant to just restart on them. So you need to, it's always good to learn something so that it can also help you. Some people, they've been fighting from they was young, it's just built in them. But there's some people, it's not. They have to be taught. So there ain't nothing wrong with that, and that is also okay, and it's correct, and it's found in the Bible. There's one in 2 Samuel about the mighty men of King David, about all the valiant work that even they did. Being weak is not the spirit of the Bible. And when I mean that, I mean it's not the vibe of the Bible. You know what I mean? People associate this Bible with being weak, being passive, and that's not in the Bible. 2 Samuel 23 and verse 8.
Second book of Samuel, chapter 23, verse 8. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had.
So now, these are the names of the mighty men which King David had. Now, we know King David, he had bodyguards around him, and these are very mighty men, meaning men of war, men that knew how to fight. You done?
The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino the Esnite. He lifted up the spear against 800, whom he slew at one time.
Imagine that. So now, that's how strong one of King David's men were. Now, for you to kill 800 people at one time in a war, he wasn't just wild with that spear that he had. He obviously put in a lot of hard work in how to use it. So he was trained in the weapon that he had. You can't kill 800 people with a weapon that you don't know how to use. So he knew obviously how to thrust with it, block with it, you know what I mean? Do all kind of things with it. And in a war, he killed 800 people in one time. So, these men knew how to fight. They knew self-defense. You done?
And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahorite, one of the three mighty men with David when they defeated the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away.
Yeah, so he was with us, and then we seen the Philistines and we ran away. We done?
he arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary.
Yeah, so because the Israelite men ran away, he fought by himself and he smote the Philistines till his hands were weary, meaning his hand got tired, read on.
And his hand clave unto the sword.
Meaning that your hand clave unto your sword, meaning he was swinging his sword that much that he had the hand spasm, that his hand couldn't let go of the weapon that he had. Read on.
And the Lord brought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil.
So when the people saw that he won, that's when the Israelite men ran back and took the boy of them. So they took their gold, you know, or all valuable resources that the Philistines had. Read on.
After him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Hararite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Lord brought a great victory.
So now, of course, these victories came from the Most High, but see the valiantness and see that to kill all these people in a battle, they use self-defense. No one can restart with a weapon and kill 800 people. You need to learn to block, learn how to, you know, deflect the attack, you know what I mean? You got to be taught these things. So even self-defense back then, it's very evident that they knew these things as well. And in the time of war, they also used it as well. So with him, he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it. So meaning he was by himself, or he probably didn't have as much men with him because the rest of them ran off. And you know, he defended it and ended up killing all of the Philistines at that time. Read on.
And 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam, where the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in the hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem.
All right, so now these Philistines, they have surrounded King David and his men. So now they've made a garrison around us, meaning they have surrounded us. Read on.
And David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me a drink of water by the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate."
So King David, he missed the water that was by Bethlehem, by the gate. So, you know what I mean? He must have really liked the water that he got from there. Read on.
And the 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew out the water of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord.
So now he desired that water that his mighty men said, you know what, let's get him some of that. So they went to fight all of these just to get him some water from that gate. They went through all of that, and have in mind, is only 3 of his men, which shows how skilled they were to fight against all of those men just to get King David just, you know, a bucket of water. Read on.
And he said, "Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. It is not the blood of men that went into jeopardy." Slacker. And he said, "Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is it not the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men."
So now, once they got it for him, he didn't want to even drink it because he acknowledged that they put their life in jeopardy for him just to get a drink. So out of respect for these men, like, you know what, I can't even drink that for the act that you done to me, which also shows the brotherhood that they had, that all he wanted was just some water from like that lake, and they put their lives at risk just so that he could have that. And out of respect for them, and they put their lives in jeopardy for him, he wouldn't even drink the water. Read on.
And Abishai, the brother of Job, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among the three, and he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among three.
Yeah, so even him, he killed 300 people in one war. Now, this is all self-defense right here. Have in mind, they're coming against us and they are defending themselves. Now, again, he killed 300. Now, you got to know how to use a weapon to be able to do something like this. So showing that self-defense is in the Bible, you know what I mean? These men, they understood this, and they was defending us at that time. You know, when you're having a war, you're defending your wives, your kids, and not just yours, even the man that's on the battlefield by your left and by your right. You know what I mean? You're defending your whole kingdom. You done?
Was he not the most honourable of the three? Therefore he was their captain. Howbeit attained not unto the first three. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab.
Now, you know what it means? If someone calls you a lion-like man, means you ain't no joke, meaning you look serious, you know. Like, if someone says he looks like a lion, that means he ain't no joke. And this man, he didn't kill one of them, he killed 2 of them, meaning he didn't care how rough the day looked, you know what I mean? It's wartime and they had to go. Now, this shows the valiantness and the skill that they had. He killed 2 men that weren't no joke. Read on.
He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of the pit in the time of snow.
Yeah, so in the snow time, a lion must have been in the pit, and he went down in the pit, and he also killed that too, showing, you know, the strength and the courageousness. Now, Christianity teaches you to be weak, to be passive. If someone hits you, just let it go. Nothing doesn't matter anymore. And this is not the spirit of the Bible. Now, we don't condone people walking around and starting trouble. Of course, no, we don't. But, you know, you defend yourself and you being courageous and strong, that is right and it's correct and it's in the Bible too. Read on. And also, verse 21.
And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man.
So he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man. Now, when it means a goodly man, meaning he was very big and strong. If someone says you're like a goodly man, that means, you know, you're grown, probably 6'8" or something, you know, very big. So he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man.
And the Egyptian had a spear, but he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear.
So now you're telling me he didn't have no hand skills. He took the Egyptian's weapon out of his hand and ended up killing the Egyptian with his own spear. So now, of course, he knew how to defend himself and he knew how to disarm someone, and he even ended up killing the Egyptian with his own weapon as well. So self-defense and people learning how to use hand skills is all throughout the Bible. You need to take someone's weapon out of their hand. He obviously had to have trained in that in a lot of time, so that he had the ability to do it when it came to that time. Read.
These things did Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he had the name among the 3 mighty men.
All right, so that's that. So, you know, that's just showing all the acts that they did. So now, defending yourself is in the Bible. So this was just a few Christian beliefs, you know what I mean? If people want some more or some other stuff, just contact us, and, you know, we'll go in the Bible and show you that they're wrong in the other understandings also as well. So that was the class. Has anyone got any questions online or in the class before we close out?
No.
All right, no sweat. All right, then with that, we're going to get to the announcements and the prayers. This is the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA.
I.S.U.P.K announcements. PK started out of 1 West 125th Street. Rule for new brother and sister. Brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in that particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, the Feast of Weeks, or Akam and Akwaf, check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, and headscarf. Rise and face the east. The Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Badash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakavka, Daba'a, Ratzaka, Haya, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Naftanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kabawafnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawafnawa, Wala'a, Dabayainawa, Banasayawan, Abba, Hawashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahafapara, La'aiwalabium, Aman. Our Father, which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
And
lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
forever.
So be it.
So be it. And the power, the Haka, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh, Baba Kusha, Nathanawa, Haka, La Pa'a, Kal Makala, Bakal Madawa, Haka, La Taha, Hamatazarayam, Haka, La Hakwayam, Hamafiam, Haka, Arakawa, Atama Allah, Lagarashan, Ba'ashem Yahweh, Wada Aman,
and in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, please give us the power, power to heal all manner of sickness,
and
all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you, so be it. And the blessings, Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh, Wa Malaka Allah, Wa Alahayam, Batazabi'ah, Ala Wapyahana, Ha Ala Wapyam, Ha Saranyam, Ha Kwatazayanyam, Ha Kaliyanyam, Wa Akwafyam, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh, Wada Aman.
And in the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh, and Michael, and the angels,
commanding General Yohanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
And the curses, blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living,
and all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushua,
in the name of Yahushua,
listen to us now,
listen to us now,
right now,
right now.
send evils and curses,
Send evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction,
and punishment and destruction,
and death to the heathen
and death to the heathen
that speak against us,
that speak against us.
thy prophets,
Thy prophets,
the teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
the princes,
the priests,
the priests,
the Israelite brothers,
the Israelite brothers,
and the school,
and the school,
send evils and curses,
and evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction,
and punishment and destruction,
and death to the heathen,
and death to the heathen,
and shall loose the pockets
shake loose the pockets
of the rich of Israel
of the rich of Israel
that refuse to give to the school,
that refuse to give to the school,
force their riches
force their riches
to enter into thy sanctuary,
to enter into thy sanctuary,
send evils and curses,
and evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction,
and punishment and destruction,
and death to the Edomites,
and death to the Edomites,
and the nations,
and the nations,
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system,
court system,
the prison system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
and parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
skinheads,
Toxic Homatazi,
Passport,
the gay movement,
the gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program,
that's the space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet
open up the internet,
and the airways,
and the airwaves,
the cable access channels,
the cable access channels,
and the radio channels,
and the radio channels,
convict the spirit
convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of thy people
that seek to stop us
that seek to stop us,
and bring swift death
and bring swift death
to all the heathen
to all the heathen
that stand in the way
that stand in the way
or try to stop us
or try to stop us
from broadcasting your words
from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the terrorists,
Let loose all the terrorists,
cause them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
through the earth and destroy,
through the earth and destroy,
cause the terrorists
cause the terrorists
to come against America
come against America
and destroy them in their strongholds.
and destroy them in their strongholds.
Let America shake
Let America shake
at the hands of the terrorists.
at the hands of the terrorists.
Let Yahushua,
Let Yahushua,
Michael and Gabriel
Michael and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucers
down with flying saucers
and kill all the heathen
and kill all the heathen
that come up against us
come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media
Cause it to be spread through the media
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahushua,
In the name of Yahushua,
thank you always.
thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
I'm going to bless Israel. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahushua,
Hashem Yahushua,
Barakalawa,
Barakalawa,
Wa'yasha'ala,
Wa'yasha'ala,
Wahabaya,
Wahabaya,
Sapayam,
Sapayam,
Barak Rapah,
Barakupah,
Magan Hagan,
Magan Hagan, the Gordon family,
the Gordon family, the Bennett family, the George family, and the Pillar family, Aiden, Carmel,
Carmel,
Atara,
Tara,
Tobiah,
Tabijah, all those stuck in the prison system,
all those stuck in the prison system,
all the brothers and sisters trying to come off drugs,
all the brothers and sisters trying to come off drugs, Commanding General Yahanna,
all the U.P.K,
all the U.P.K, Ba'ashem Yahushua,
Hashem Yahushua,
the word of Aman,
the one that Aman.
and what we just said was, Lord, in the name of Jesus, bless us and Israel and the school, bless your shield, protect our loved ones, in the name of Jesus. Thank you, and so be it.
And with that, Israel Catholicism.